Nigeria, the Finding Jobs in Nigeria online show organized by jobs.delon.ng. Jobs.delon.ng is Nigeria's top job portal that is focused a lot on young people. When I talk about young people, I mean students pre NYSC, recent graduates, and the people who didn't even go beyond high school at all. And our vision at jobs.delon.ng is to help lift 1 million Nigerians out of poverty. That is why we regularly publish free articles and videos to enlighten people about finding jobs, how to get jobs, as well as and growing small businesses. And our website, www.delon.ng, is ranked #1 by Google as Nigeria's top classified ads website. And it provides free online adverts to small businesses across Nigeria. You can simply download our free on Android app, on iOS also. That's delon.ng to start connecting with customers. Welcome to the show Finding Jobs in Nigeria once again. My name is Deborah Yusuf, and today we will be talking about the challenges that job seekers face when they are faced with human resource managers, or basically interviewers. Last we talked about online jobs that you can do as a student while you're at home, but today we'll be diving into job seekers. Let's look at them. Let's talk about one of the challenges that they face in the search for job placement. And that's why the topic for today is questions to ask during an interview. Now, as a job seeker or as a young person watching this video, you might think, okay, I am the one looking for a job. I am the one being interviewed. So do I have the right to ask questions? Do I really have to say anything? I should rather just answer the questions that the interviewer throws at me. But I tell you, no, that's a very wrong thought you have. That's a very wrong mindset. You have the right to ask questions. In fact, interviews are meant to be a two-way thing. The interviewer asks you questions and you ask yours as well. So it's like a feedback and response thing. As much as the interviewer has questions that he or she wants to ask you, you should also have questions you want to ask, because this is a company you want to work with or you want to work for. And it's basically a place where you intend spending most of your time in. You go to work in the morning and probably come back in the evening. So you'll be spending averagely 8 or 10 hours of your time with these organizations. So why shouldn't you ask questions? Why shouldn't you know stuff about them? Why shouldn't you have the right to ask questions that will let you know indeed what you should prepare for if eventually you get the job? Well, you might be thinking, okay, what if I don't get the job? What if you get the job? So there's probably this possibility of you getting the job, and yes, there's probability of you not getting it, but that doesn't mean you should now put yourself at the mercy of the interviewer or the organization and make them feel less of you, or make them see worthless of you. So as much as you are the one being interviewed or the one being asked questions, you also have the right to ask questions. So now here is the big deal. Yes, I've said it, you have the right to ask questions, you should ask questions and all of that. So what are the kind of questions you should ask? Okay, that's another challenge on its own. You don't go to an interview and then just simply asking just anyhow questions that might even deny you chances of getting the job, even after your CV has placed you rightly. So what are the kind of questions you should ask? That's what we'll be talking about today on the show, Finding Jobs in Nigeria, organized by the leading job portal, online job portal in Nigeria, jobs.delon.ng. So our first question for today is, you should ask, how would you measure the success of the person in this position? So basically, after you've been asked, okay, tell me about yourself, why do you want the job, why do you want to work with this company, and all of the other questions that the interviewer might want to ask you. Then they come to the part of, okay, do you have any questions you want to ask? One of the questions that should pop up in your mind is, how would you measure the success of the person in this organization? Basically, you want to know what are the KPIs of this role. By KPI, I mean key performance indicators. So what are the things, what are the indicators, what are the criteria, okay, that the organization has for people who will take up or who have taken up this role, that will determine that, okay, indeed, they have been successful. So you ask the interviewer, you ask the organization, how would you measure the success of the person in this role? Or what are the things that the person is supposed to achieve or should have achieved at a certain set time to indeed show that, okay, the person is being successful in the role? And basically, you're asking, how are the KPIs measured? How often are they measured? Well, when you talk of KPIs, the different organizations have different ways of measuring their KPIs at different times. So for the organization B, their KPIs are different, and they could measure it perhaps every 3 months or quarterly or biannually. They could even measure it monthly. So these are questions you should ask. How often do you measure your key performance indicators? And what are the key performance indicators? How many okay, how many, if you're taking up the role of a customer service representative, I don't know why I keep using that as an example, but really, if you're taking up the role of a customer service representative, how many customers am I expected to bring to the organization in what period of time? So those are examples. That's an example of KPI, key performance indicator, that I talked about. So that's one of the questions you should ask in an interview. How would you measure the success of the person in this role? And then another question you should ask is, what are some of the challenges you expect the person in this position to face? Now, no matter how experienced you are in that field, no matter how much knowledge you have, no matter how skillful you are, one thing is certain: you will definitely face challenges. And the dynamics of it is that the challenges you faced while you were working in a previous organization will be very much different from the challenges you face in this new one, because, okay, this is a new organization that you're just coming into. You're more like a new person. You're not used to the ways of the workings of the organization yet, and everything. So you definitely face challenges. Okay, maybe those are not the kind of challenges I am talking about. Now, the kind of challenges that I am talking about are the challenges that deals with the job you were taking. Okay, so you've been a customer representative with ABC organization before, and you had some challenges relating with their customers, talking with the customers. They had very rude and rude customers that on a normal day you might not even want to engage in a conversation with. Now, this is another different organization that you are being introduced to the customer base, and you don't know yet the kind of customers they have. You don't know yet how rude they are, or how polite they are, or how well they would accept you, or how well they would love to relate with you. So you should ask questions that will better prepare you for the challenges ahead. So you should ask, what are the challenges that I'm likely to face in this position? What are those issues that I should prepare my mind that, okay, these are the things that would come to me when I eventually, if I take the position, these are the things that I will face. This are how then you can better prepare yourself to manage them, because you've known ahead of time that, okay, I might face this kind of challenge. So when you're facing them, you are better prepared to manage the situation. Okay, so all of the questions you're asking basically is to help you do well at your job, is to help you do better if you are finally given the job. Another question that you would ask is, are there opportunities for professional development? Now, there, there are people who take up jobs in organizations, and then they're with the organization 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and it seems like their life is just there. They are just stagnant. They are not getting any better. They are not improving. They are just old. They are just old cargoes, but they're just like that. They're just how they have always been. Never gotten any better. So those are organizations that do not introduce or do not provide their employees with professional advancement programs. They don't organize trainings for them. They don't take them to seminars. They don't take them to conferences. They don't even take them to workshops that would better upskill their employees. Although these organizations might have their reasons. I was speaking with a woman one day, and she was saying that okay, she employed this person and then she trained her, she took her to trainings, workshops, seminars, everything you could ever think of, and she got 10 times better than she was when she came into the organization. And within 6 months after that, she left the organization. So yes, employers might think that I'm not going to provide you with things that will make you get better because I don't want to lose you. But at the same time, that to me sounds like being selfish, because this person, what if he or she doesn't leave? What if he or she is someone that's grateful for all of the values that you have given to him or her and decides to stay? So this is another question that you should ask. What are the measures or the opportunities that are available for me to develop professionally? Will the organization pay for any training? Organization pay for any workshop, or does the organization even bring in? You don't necessarily have to. Doesn't necessarily have to be taking you to perhaps outside the country or other states to learn. They might decide to bring in people, professionals in the much more experiences, much more years of experiences, or who are really better at it. So they might bring them into training. So these are questions you should ask. Are there anything like that? And if they say yes, what do they do? What are they? Are they going to be virtual trips, or will be taken out to to attend those trainings, or the trainers will be brought in? I can recall an organization that I've worked with before. This organization literally sponsored the head of that department to an international program. Yeah, an international program on that. The time he came back with new ideas. He had met people from other countries. He got introduced to how they also run their department, thoughts, their ideologies, and so his horizon was enlarged, and so he was back into the organization with new ideas. He was coming back to do new methods of doing things. That's why you need this professional trainings. That's why you need this professional development, help you get better at your field. So you should want to know if you are coming into this organization and leaving it better than you were, because that should be one of your goals as a job seeker. Being an A scorer and then you're leaving as an A scorer. No, you should go into an organization being an A scorer and leaving perhaps as an A squared scorer. So yeah, you should be concerned the laid down opportunities that would help you get better at the field. So they should be able to name them. Okay, we have the Change Leaders Program, we have the virtual training for our employees. Oh, you can also sponsor. Sometimes we sponsor, or every year we sponsor the best employee in that year to an international training, or every month we organize virtual trainings for our employees, or biannually we take our employees out for international training, seminars, workshops, or conferences, things like that. So they should name those opportunities that are available for you to your profession. Okay, I've mentioned 3 questions that you can ask already. I've said you should ask how they will measure the success of the person in that position. Talking about the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and how they are used. They are also used. I also said you should challenges you should expect in the position if you eventually take up the role. And lastly, that I just said that you should also ask if there are opportunities for it, and if yes, they should tell you what those opportunities are, and how you can access them. Another question you would want to ask is, how would you describe a typical day in this position? Now, I said earlier that taking up this job and you typically, larger percentage of your time with the organization. Get to work 8 a.m. and then you leave the office 5 p.m. That's how many hours? 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 9 hours. You're spending 9 hours of your day with every weekday organization, and that's a large time as a human being, and so you shouldn't be using your time at a place you don't at a place that's not going to add in financial value, monetary value, or in kind, whatever value. But you shouldn't be spending your time at a place that's not going to add value to you. And if you are going into a that you would spending 9 hours of your time in, I guess you should really be concerned about how you would spend those hours of your time. So yes, that's why you have to ask the question, how would you describe a typical day in this position? So like my usual example, if I am coming to this organization, I'm taking the role of a customer service representative, and I ask, okay, how would the organization or the interviewer describe a typical day in the role? So I should be told, okay, when you come in the morning, you take your office, and then you start attending to mails, you receive phone calls, you attend to people who work into the organization, and then you respond to queries or complaints rather, and all of that. So they should be able to describe how my day is likely to go in that role with the organization. That would help you picture that role, and also better prepare you for if you eventually take up. So okay, I'll be responding to emails. Of course, you will know it. That's your job as a customer. I said, where you're coming from is quite different from where you are going to. So you should know how it is done at where you are going to is differently from where you are coming from. Okay. Lastly, because I need to talk about the questions that you shouldn't ask. So lastly, on the questions you should ask, what are you hoping this person would accomplish in their first 6 months in their job, or in the first year? So you're taking up the role, and the organization will definitely have expectations. They have expectations from you. They expect you to achieve some things. They expect you to bring in some things. They expect you to add value, because that's why they employ you in the first place, right? So they expect you to add value to your organization. they expect you to reach some things, achieve, make some achievements, basically. So you would want to know what their expectations are. So it will better prepare you to meet up the expectation or even surpass the expectation. So you would want to ask that question: what are you hoping the person in this role should accomplish in the first 6 months or the first 1 year? Okay, so they can say, well, in the first 6 months, current customer database is at 50. Well, we hope that the first 6 months, you are able to increase our customer base to 70, or in the first 1 year we are hoping that you are able to increase our customer base to 80, more like a target, more like a target they are giving you. So you would want to know what your expectations are from you, and how you can better meet up with their expectation or even surpass their expectation goals. So the organization will be glad they employed you, and they will be glad they didn't make a mistake in employing you. Or so a breakdown of the questions that I said you could ask. You could ask how you'd measure the success of the person in the position or the role, and what are the likely challenges she might face, and how they would describe a typical day on the job, and lastly, what they are hoping this role accomplishes in the first 6 months or the first 1 year. And I also talked about the KPIs, what their key performance indicators are, and how they are measured and how often they are measured. All right. So, um, question void. Now, because I said you should ask questions, it wouldn't be nice. Okay, it wouldn't place you well if you go ahead and start asking unnecessary questions or questions that really um wouldn't speak well of you or wouldn't better place you in front of the organization, because I believe that for you to have gotten to the point of being interviewed, that means that your CV was fab and they found it very amazing and they thought they needed you in the organization. That's why they called you in for interview. So the interview is basically like the point where you have to really prove to them that what's contained in your CV is true and real. So if you've been able to do that and you've gone through the interviews and now it's your turn to ask a question, then you shouldn't blow it up at that point, right? You shouldn't spoil everything that you've built. So you should be cautious of the questions that you ask. And that's why I'll be telling you the questions that you shouldn't ask in an interview. And one of them is avoid me questions. Yes, avoid questions that are only concerned about you, and you. Yeah, you want to get better at your job, but also let them know that you want to get better so you can better serve the organization. You understand that? So I gave an example earlier of a woman who said she trained this employee, and then in 3 6 months the employee left. So if you are also asking, all right, what are the professional opportunities available for me to get better, you should be able to let them know that you want to get better so you can better serve them in that organization, in that role that you're occupying. So have your own way, devise a way of making the questions that you ask not all about you. Don't be selfish about it. Have the interest of the company at heart and let them know that you are concerned about the development of the organization. You're not just selfish. And that would help them. That would trigger them to consider you for the role. Also, avoid close-ended questions like, okay, do you have KPIs? Yes, no. So avoid yes or no questions. Avoid questions that would only require the yes or the no or the one word answer. Right? Ask questions that would require them to give in-depth explanation on what you're asking or what they want to talk about. Ask questions that would allow them to express themselves and really let you know that, okay, this is what is in it for you. This is what we have in stock for you. Okay. Also, ask questions about multiple topics. Ask one question at a time. Now, because you're asked to ask questions, you don't bombard them with questions. You don't pull up all your questions and then you start pouring it out like you're pouring water on them. No. Okay, ask your questions one at a time, and you really have to look deeply into the available questions that you have and ask the ones that are related, that are very important, the ones that are very necessary for you to ask. Okay, so you don't say, oh, because I've been told that I should ask this question, then go ahead and ask it. Before you ask it, ensure that it is necessary, it is important that you ask it, and you really need to ask it. Basically, just be sure you really need to ask. Don't go ahead and ask questions just for asking sake. Ask because you want to know the answer. Ask because it is necessary. Ask because it is important and you are concerned about the answer that they would give you. Okay, and don't ask anything too personal. Yeah, that's very important. 2 weeks ago, that's the two last two editions, I was talking about answering the interview question, tell me about yourself. And I said you shouldn't give your personal details when you are talking about yourself in an interview. So likewise, you shouldn't ask personal questions. You don't go ahead and ask the HR person interviewing you how much his or her salary is. Okay, that's way too personal. So you should be careful of the kind of questions you ask. Yeah, as much as you want to get in from the company, which you should have researched on actually. Okay, you should also be careful not to throw personal questions at the person interviewing you. Okay, do not ask what does this company do or what is this company about. Really, that sounds dumb. You should ask. You should have done your research about the company before you go ahead um, to submit your CV or apply for the role. Of course, you've researched about the company, you've known what they do. You see that, okay, this is what I also want to do. This is what I also want to be involved in. And that's why you're applying. So you don't come at the interview and start asking again, what does this company do? Really sounds dumb. It shows that, oh, maybe you are not ready for the job after all. So do not ask questions like that. And then do not ask, if I get the job, when do I have the time to take vacation, or how many weeks leave am I appointed to? No, you're not taking the job because you want to stay at home, right? And you're not taking the job because you want to go on vacation. So that's really not a question you should ask. You should ask questions that are related to you taking up the role and that would portray you as someone who is ready to work for the betterment and development of the organization. So you don't ask, when am I supposed to go on a vacation, or when am I supposed to go on holiday? Now, that's not why we are here. That's not why you applied for the job in the first place. All right. Also, do not ask if you got the job. You could ask when the timeline of their getting back to you. But you don't ask outrightly, like, did I get the job or not? No, that's really wrong. But you could ask, okay, in how many weeks or in how many days should I expect a response? Like they say after interviews, we'll get back to you. So you could ask, in how many days and how many next weeks should I expect a response from you? What's the timeline? But you don't go outrightly to ask, did I get the job or not? Okay, we'll be drawing the curtain here on the show for this week. Okay, let me remind you again that jobs.delon.ng has the most diverse database of jobs in Nigeria. So if you're looking for a job and you're in Nigeria, that's your first port of call. We have jobs ranging from very small jobs and internships to specialized IT jobs in Nigeria. And we currently provide free services to small businesses seeking to hire top talent. Okay, so if you are looking to recruit or hire people to work for you, we are your plug. And we also provide specialized IT recruitment services to bigger companies. So it doesn't matter your size, it doesn't matter what you're about, we got you covered. Thank you so much for watching the show this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also be friends with us on Facebook, and drop your comments on this video, and be sure that you like it and you share it with your friends, your job seekers, any job seeker or any students that need to learn from this. Do ensure you share it with them. We'll catch up again next week, Friday, 1:30 p.m. Bye for now.